The reason why I talk so much about ego and Night Owl Nation is because ego has been my biggest problem in the beginning. Like, no matter whether I'm talking to employees, clients, or whatever, I always had to be right.
How did Gigi have the patience, learn the patience to be able to mirror back all of that to you? I mean, that's obviously a huge, huge gift for her to probably be feeling frustrated, but loving you enough to know that she needed to ground herself to be in the space of being able to mirror back and love you for knowing that who you are and allowing you to just make the change in your own self in the time that you would make the change.
That's a good question. I don't know if you heard this, but like in a relationship, it's never equal. Like, somebody's always going to love the other person more than, and in the beginning, definitely most of it was driven by Gigi, meaning like, I think she just loved me that much that my lack of like self-awareness, my ego, my all of that, it almost like her love kind of overpowered. And then over the years, like, it kind of balanced out. It made me like love her so much for that. And yeah, I just like, I don't know how somebody can be so patient, so understanding. And so I really don't think anybody else could have made me change except her.
That's awesome. That kind of sounds familiar, David, when you first moved to Hawaii, and I said it's going to take you a good year to calm down from the mainland, and you're like, "What are you talking about?" Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
But I gave you the space because I knew that on the islands it's so different, and you cannot run 1,000 miles an hour with the local people. You need to come to a space that's just chill and calm. And I remember I'm watching you go through those movements and actions, rapid firing coming from, Southern Cal. And I'm like, it's going to take them a little while to calm down from here. From the mainland. Do you remember that?
I do. And circling back to our own relationship, who do you think is more like Gigi? Is it you or me?
Well, I hope that I'm more like a Gigi.
Well, I was going to answer the question. I think I'm more like Gigi.
Oh, man.
All right. Stay tuned there. This is our last episode.
I guess me and Gigi are more on the extreme end, right? But I think that's why it worked, because I was very extreme. The reason why I talk so much about ego and Night Owl Nation is because ego has been my biggest problem in the beginning. Like, no matter whether I'm talking to employees, clients, or whatever, I always had to be right. And that, like, I ruined a lot of relationships that way. And like, Gigi is the one who kind of stuck around and fixed me. I don't know if intentionally or unintentionally, but it worked.
Yeah, you have to do the work, right? Like, the ego is the thing that prevents almost all of us from, achieving what we want to achieve in life. And so it's the high performers, right? It's us that's out there doing it that have to overcome that and deal with it. And the sooner you recognize that you're fighting this unseen entity that is always an energy inside your head called ego, the sooner you recognize that and work with it as opposed to always against it. Sometimes working against it can be a good thing, I think, is part of the success formula for couples.
And when my ego creeps up and I go into that crazy mode, like that, I think that is the key thing. Like, most people will just be like, "Oh, Sun's being crazy again," or "Sun," But Gigi never did that. You know what I mean? She would always be on my side, even when I was crazy. And that actually made me see I was being crazy.
That's a powerful love. That's a powerful love, because when you can love someone and see that and let them go through that, I mean, there's a deepness in that, because otherwise she could also have an ego and come back. And then that's where the disputes and disagreements start. But man, that's a deep,
I mean, she did
love.
push back slightly. And what I think when that happened was when she did push back slightly, that's when I recognized what I was doing wrong. But then if she was constantly pushed back, like nagging me all the time, I think I would have just tuned her out. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. So speaking of that, how do you two resolve your disagreements? How do you collaborate?
Oh, I'm getting some popcorn for this one.
I don't know if we have like a set process or something like that, but usually what happens is Gigi kind of lets me do what I want to do, right? And so it's kind of like this: I'm the child, and she's the parent, and she kind of lets me do what I want to do, and she's managing all the finances, right? So I've kind of, okay, so maybe that's where I should start. So in the beginning, I did kind of say so, like, Gigi, you can't just send an invoice like that, or you can't just raise prices, or all of those things, right? And I was micromanaging her, even though she was in charge of the money. I was micromanaging her, right? Because I didn't want our clients to get pissed off about money, or I don't want them to think that we're like selfish or greedy or something like that. So for the first, I think, year or two, I was actually not letting her do the job. And then we went through this really, really busy period where I couldn't even micromanage. So I just like, I just did my thing. And then one day I look at the bank account, and we went from like being in debt to like, after 6 months, having like $200,000 in the bank. And I was like, holy shit, how did that happen? Right. and, and actually that came up because like I realized one time that she raised our hourly rate. So, and I saw that on one of the invoices. I'm like, you raised our rate? Like, like, why did you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Clients are gonna get pissed, and blah, blah, blah. Like, this person's not gonna be happy. And she's like, no, I already talked to them. They're happy, and they agreed that we should raise our rate. so so all of that thing, and that was almost like a little, at during that time, was like almost like a light bulb moment for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, maybe I was wrong, right? Maybe Gigi understands better how much we should be charging, and like, like, maybe I should just hands off the money part. And that, starting from that point on, we've completely separated. So she's in charge of that, and I'm in charge of this. And now I guess there is not many conflicts, because she'll usually just let me do what I need to do, and kind of like a parent, she'll kind of fix it on the back end. Like, if she needs to charge more, she'll charge more, or she'll negotiate, or whatever it is. And then if I get a little bit out of line, she'll say like, son, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I'll be like, yeah, but we'll have that discussion. And I guess what was happening back then still kind of a little bit goes on right now, because she's like, yeah, I understand, but we'll have a little bit of like discussion about that. I'll go to bed and then kind of sit on that for a couple of days. And then I come to my senses, and I'm like, "Oh, I think Gigi is right." When you've gone through it so many times, I think you can kind of sense when she's right and when I'm right. And like, here's a good example. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about, actually, the mentorship that we're doing. Gigi wanted to raise the price and all of this. We were having that discussion, but at this one time at dinner, I was like more open to actually like listening to her ideas. Because before I was just like, no, we can't do that. Well, I wasn't even really thinking. And this one, and she recognized that I was more open to it. And she started like, oh, I think we should do this because of, and then she'll kind of giving her side of the argument. And then that's kind of when I had that sense that I was like, oh, I think you're right. That's her strength. Like, she understands where my mood is. And she knows that when I'm willing to accept, and when I'm not. And so she uses that opportunity to, like, sell her idea. So I mean, like, I'll say this, like, she's so good at, like, what is that? Emotional intelligence. Like, I think I'm really bad in the emotional intelligence side. Like, kind of like,
You're a guy,
reading.
right? That's sort of where we're at.
Yeah, I guess. But she's really good at it. So I think that's why it kind of works. So yeah, I don't want to like
Cool.
take any credit for that, like, because that's all her doing.
So do you two? Oh, sorry, Dave. Were you going to say something?
I was just, yeah, I mean, we have a process, Sun, that we use, and it's sort of called best idea wins. And so a lot of times we default to that when we disagree. It's like, so what's the best idea for the outcome that we have already decided we want to achieve? And frankly, I don't care where the idea comes from. The best idea wins. And that somehow that like settles with my ego just fine. But the question I wanted to ask, Wendy, is, you and I have sort of, not sort of, written down goals, destinations, values, those sorts of things. Do you and Gigi have that? Do you have like a master plan of the goals, the things you want to accomplish, 5-10 years down the road?
As you were saying that, like, I think something clicked in my head. I think there are two types of business partnerships. One where there's like two equal partners, right? Where they both have the same value, same goal, same all of that, and they have to work together to achieve it. A lot of the business partnerships that I've seen are actually, there's still one main decision maker. Do you know what I mean? So there is a business partner, but it's not a 50-50 business partnership, right? Kind of like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak or something like that, where there's one person who's going to override at the end of the day. And I think that's kind of how, for us, for Gigi and I, that's how it works. Like, we have to like, my vision and goal. First of all, to answer that question now, I don't believe in goals, and I know you're gonna be like, what? But like, I don't believe in these goals, 5-year plan, 10-year plans, 5-year plans, and that's because, like, for me at least, that never worked. Like, goals I've set has never even come close to achieving. But if I do look back at all the things that I have achieved, they've kind of happened accidentally. Like, I didn't even mean to start an agency, actually, to be honest. Like, that happened accidentally. I didn't mean to create a storytelling course on Domestica with 22,000 stories. That accidentally happened. I didn't mean to start this community of Night Owl Nation where I teach. Storytelling wasn't even something that was a word, a vocabulary that existed in my head 3 years ago. So almost everything in my life happened accidentally, and I'm really, really, I realized this like 4 or 5 years ago, when I was like reading Power of Now. And actually, that's kind of how personal development stuff works for me. I don't pick a author or something like that and I try to learn everything from them. Usually for me, I'll go to a seminar, read a book or something like that, and there's just one or two nuggets that I resonate with because I've experienced it in my own life. It's just that that person was able to kind of put it in a formula for me, or like, like explain what I felt in the words that I can actually kind of understand or something like that. And that's what happened. Like, when I was reading Power Now, I'm like, this is it. Everything that great happened in my life happened because I was just present, not thinking about my future, not thinking about the past, and just focusing on the task at hand in front of me. And that led to another opportunity here, which led to another opportunity here. And it just happened, right? So that's why I don't really set goals. But my overall goal in life is to constantly learn and constantly teach. Learning and teaching is kind of what I'm passionate about. So I guess that would be my goal day to day. But I do have like a very rough goal, right? Like, where I kind of want to go in this general direction, I think. But then that can change too, like maybe next year or whatever it is. And right now, what I'm seeing at Night Owl Nation is that, like, I really want to teach people how to think critically. Is kind of like the general direction I want to go to. So for me, my goal is to just learn and teach. Now for Gigi's goal is for us to be profitable and for us to have financial security and all of that, right? So we actually have two goals, and we're trying, and the two goals are we're trying to balance. And I think for us that works for me, because sometimes this goes against this goes against this, but because we're kind of hashing it out like that, we figure out a way to make both work. I don't know if that
No,
makes
that's
sense.
great. No, I love that.
Beautiful. And I'll just add one more thing. You say that you accidentally had all of these successes, but it wasn't an accident that you were headed in that direction. I feel the same way, right? Like, you put down your goals, but it's never a straight line. It's always, right, like 100 miles this way, then 100 miles this way, and eventually you get there. But people ultimately look at you and say, wow, you're an overnight success, right? And you're like, yeah, I'm an overnight success. But yeah, after 20 years of actually heading in this direction. So I love that.
I was going to add too, obviously you and Gigi have some sort of routines to keep you guys both on track. Can you share with us what those routines or habits might be?
I mean, I really don't have routines. I guess like whatever habits that when I wake up and I do yoga. So I haven't actually. I didn't want to say that because I haven't been very good about it recently. But for me, like I like yoga. Gigi runs. Gigi runs with um our dog every morning. So there's like those things where we formed habit. Like I said, around 6, 7 o'clock, I think we both relax, have dinner, um, like watch a movie or something like that. So those kind of things that we do, but like other than that, no, I'm not really big on like very set routines, or at least not.
For our listeners, it sounds like your guys' relationship's amazing. Now we all want to be like Sun Yi and Gigi at this point because it sounds so amazing.
Not at all.